I'm Alfonso Mendoza, host of the My Ed Tech Life podcast, a part of the Education Podcast Network. Shows on the network are individually owned and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Welcome to the House of Ed Tech podcast. I am your host, Chris Nessie. The House of Ed Tech explores how technology is changing the way teachers teach and the impact that technology is having in education. I discuss technology that is changing our classrooms and schools, and I share tools and tips that you can hear today and use tomorrow. You're going to hear the stories of teachers, leaders, and creators just like you. The purpose? Whether you use it or not, technology is changing the way you teach and how your students learn. What is up, everybody? Good evening. Happy Friday. We did it, Fonz. We made it to Friday.
Yeah.
Welcome aboard, everybody. It is Friday, February 5th, 2021. It's 10:01 p.m. It's Friday night. I'm going to see how many times I could say Friday night in the first 40 seconds of the show. But thanks for being here. It's myself, Chris Nessie. You're listening and watching the House of Ed Tech podcast. And I'm joined by, and you heard it right at the top of tonight's broadcast, right over to that direction, the Fonz. What's up, my Ed Tech Life?
How's it going, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us today on our final day of the TCEA recap series shows that you did this week. So always a pleasure to come by and hang around with Chris and talk tech and all other things. So thank you for joining us. And I did put a message there in the YouTube chat. Just drop us a line, see where you're joining us from today. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, thanks for everybody who's here so far. Hello to Mel A and Pramod Vadru. I'm stumbling here. Pramod Vadravu. I'm going to go with that. I think that sounds pretty close. Public address announcer. I got a 50-50 shot. Stephanie Scrocky. What's up from Jersey? Again, I was in a clubhouse room. You actually were hanging out in there for a little bit earlier tonight too, there, Fonz.
I sure was.
Talking Ed Tech while I was waiting for tacos. And the tacos were delicious.
Nice.
Let's see. Mel A is asking if that's a new sewing machine in the background. It is not new, but it is Mrs. Nessie's. That's her little crafty maker sewing station. I make the magic here. She makes the magic over there. And I had to be clear that I was pointing at the sewing machine and not the bed behind me. It's Friday night, everybody. House of Ed Tech After Dark or something like that. We got my Ed Tech Life hanging out in the chat, and he's on screen. Super fun. Ms. Dickerson is back in the house. She is checking in from El Paso, Texas. Great to see you here as well. The tacos were delicious. And yes, Mel, that is a Superman S, which I made out of cardboard. So it's handmade and spray painted, and my wife still gives me grief about it because I did the spray painting in the garage. So there are some Superman shield shapes on the floor of the garage, but it's crappily tiled. So I don't care. And it's my garage of Ed Tech. Not a big deal to me. That's where you're supposed to make a mess.
I love that. Garage of Ed Tech. Nice.
That's the official name. This is the House of Ed Tech. And then I have the Garage of Ed Tech where I do other sorts of tinkering. And sometimes I live stream on Instagram in there, or I go on Twitter. So yes, it's like Studio C.
Nice.
Let's see. So as the Fonz mentioned, actually, no, before we talk TCEA, again, I played a special audio clip at the top of this episode, Fonz, and I am very excited to welcome you. I guess this is the official public announcement that My Ed Tech Life is now a proud member of the Education Podcast Network. Welcome aboard, Fonz.
Oh, thank you so much. Appreciate it. It's I'm really excited. Seriously. I mean, it's just I can't believe, like I said, 40 some shows in, and I didn't think it was going anywhere, and now I'm part of the network and getting to hang out with some of my friends and some of the people that I look up to, and some amazing podcasters that definitely share a lot of knowledge to help build up our education community. So it's just definitely very exciting times, and definitely excited to be here. And I think AJ said he was already going to be using my bumper for his next episode. So I'm definitely excited about that, AJ.
Yes, I put the word out to the other members of the network, and members? Yeah, we'll go with that. The other members of the network, and I said, yeah, the members. And I said, hey, Fonz is here. Let's spread the word. So if everybody, as their production schedule allows, use the Fonz's bumper. And we got a couple people replied directly to me and said, yes, I'll definitely use it. And I think you may have gotten some of those replies as well. So yeah,
they're Fonz probably like, maybe they're like, who's that guy?
I did send out an introductory email first.
I know.
But make sure you do subscribe to My EdTech Life, and the website is myedtech.life, which is super cool. I was going to go with chrisnessy.ninja, but I don't have that training. And if you are in the market for awesome education podcasts, be sure to check out all of the podcasts on the network by going to edupodcastnetwork.com. You got House of Ed Tech. You got My EdTech Life. AJ Bianco is hanging out in the chat. He's the host of the Reflect Ed podcast. And there are so many podcasts on the network. I believe we are up to 28 high quality programs on the network, and going strong. And I'm very proud of the work that everybody does going back to 2015. So I suppose there's a patch on the jersey coming up at some point, right? Commemorative banner, celebrations, but very happy to have you a part of this.
Thank you. But it's a great time too. I mean, you mentioned celebrations. There's one person, I know you sent out that email that we need to celebrate and give them a shout out. And so, Chris, who is it that we're talking about right now?
You know what? I know the answer to this, but you're the new guy on the block, so I'm going to let you do the whole promo. Go ahead, shout him out.
Hey, so we want to give a great and amazing shout out to Dr. Dan Kreines, who will be releasing his 100th episode this coming week, Leader of Learning podcast. That's right. So I guess I just learned that once you hit your 100th episode, that's kind of podcast graduation. So I just learned that. So Dr. Dan Kreines, thank you so much for all you do, and just continue the amazing work. Appreciate you.
We love Dan Kreines, and actually super shout out. So his 100th episode comes out on his next release, which I believe is Monday, February 8th. Today, happy birthday, Dr. Dan Kreines, celebrating.
Oh, that's right.
Today's Dan's birthday. So again, he's doing birthday stuff tonight, I'm sure, and wherever he runs around Connecticut. But happy birthday, Dan Kreines. Congratulations on your 100th episode. So make sure you tag him on Twitter at Dr. _Kreines, Kreines. So tell him happy birthday and congratulate him on his 100th episode. So there you go. Now, Fonz, what episode are you on? How far till 100? What's the countdown?
Oh, man. I don't know. I'm at 43. I can't even do the math right. So it'll be 43. So tomorrow. So I don't know. What's 100 minus 43?
57.
There you go. 57.
There you go. So there you go. And we're going to count down to the Fonz's 100th episode. There you go. So we are having fun here on a Friday night. If you want to hop aboard and be a part of the conversation, if you have been attending TCEA or you plan to attend TCEA over the next 3 weeks, because this is going on virtually for the rest of February 2021. If you're watching far into the future, welcome to my channel. Click the bell, all that stuff, but you missed TCEA. But if you're watching live right now and you're presenting, or you're going to be attending sessions, or you have attended sessions so far this week, go to chrisnessy.com/join, and we'd love to see you on screen. Sharo, I'm talking to you because you've got the setup. I know you could come on here. I know maybe AJ, maybe his microphone is plugged in. Maybe he wants to come on. Mel A, we hang out on Twitter. You come to these chats. You can come on in here. And again, for anybody else who comes in, camera doesn't have to be on, right? If you turn the camera off, it looks like this.
Hey, wait.
Wow, it
Am I on Clubhouse?
No, now it's like you're in school. You're the teacher and I'm just a kid in the classroom with you, right?
There you go.
You could totally turn off your camera. You know, it's all good. So we're having fun here on a Friday night. We do have big plans. We are not going to be going until 11 o'clock like we've done 2 other nights this week because the Fonz, you talked Wednesday night and we briefly touched on this. We're going to be playing with some new technology live tonight, and it'll be after we go off the air. So we're going to let you know what it is, where to go, what to do. So I guess if you truly want to come to the after party of tonight's live stream, we're actually going to have some fun in a new piece of technology. And speaking of fun and technology, let's bring on Shao Dickerson.
Yeah.
Hey, good evening, everybody. How's it going?
Good.
Happy
doing
Friday.
well.
Happy Friday. How are you?
I know. Happy Friday. Oh my goodness. It's been a roller coaster week. It's a lot. You know, every conference that you go to, you just want to keep on attending a lot of different sessions and you can only do so much. But I caught myself this week and then I had to tell myself, okay, you got to stop. I was staying up like until midnight trying to catch up. Watching videos and taking notes and I keep on forgetting, oh, we have work tomorrow, Sharo, so you have to get up early to get to the building. So it was enjoyable. I would say overall TCA was enjoyable. And like what I said yesterday, there were some that were reviews for me anyway.
Mhm.
And there were some new stuff too and a lot of inspirational talks. And one thing for sure, what I always look forward to TCA are their fantastic keynote speakers or spotlight speakers. And they always deliver. So great sources of inspiration, definitely.
All right. So I'm going to grill you on everything you just said. So I'm going to start with new learning. So stuff we reviewed. I don't care about the review. What's something new for you that you got this week?
I think one of the most memorable ones would be what they call tech equity, culturally responsive technology. So that resonated a lot with me. Well, aside from my crazy work, I'm pursuing my doctoral study, so I'm getting there, and I've always been an advocate for student and woman empowerment. So with our remote learning situation, and I think this is something that a lot of people can relate with. We have realized here in my part of El Paso the inequity in terms of internet access among the kids. Also, the realization that a lot of the kids, or I should say many of the kids, because it happened during our spring break when COVID happened. So a lot of the kids are in Juarez because they're visiting family or they have homes there. So they can't come back in because they're not allowed to come back into the United States. And their internet there is different from the internet access that we have here in the States, even though it's just divided by the Rio Grande River. You know, somehow it separates that equitable access to resources once you cross the border. So we also have encountered kids who have been checking out and they haven't been going to school because they have to take care of their siblings. They have to be the parent while mom and or dad have to go to work, even though COVID is very high because they have to to put food on the table. So all of these things are very, very sensitive and also highly, big points for El Paso to really focus on, just because El Paso is not like, the bigger cities where you have a lot of resources. We have to find different ways on how to help each other.
Yeah. It sounds similar to what I deal with. Again, I'm in an urban setting and, we're trying to do things to incentivize attendance and increase the attendance. And I am fortunate that, I do get a lot of students who are coming to school and attending the Google Meets because my district's approach at the start of this school year has been, we're virtual, 100% virtual. I don't have to go to my building. Nobody goes into the building unless you want to. And I don't understand why people do that. But they have their reasons. But we've been doing our day just virtual. So we've got our class schedule. We don't ring the bell, but we follow it. I have my, how long are my classes and, when do the kids get breaks, and, we run through our schedule, virtually. So to some degree, it creates some sense of normalcy for the kids. But I know I got kids who I get emails and things in our Google Meet chat that, hey, Mr. Nessie, got to help my sister. I got to leave class because I got to go with my parents and they're not leaving me home alone. And, so I got kids, in and out for all different types of reasons. And that's before we even get to, well, the internet that we have access to is not great, so the district gave the kids, the Chromebooks and made an arrangement with the local cable internet provider to get the kids internet access, but it's not the best internet access. I believe I saw an article this week that some kids exposed AT&T or Sprint or some company. It's basically saying that what the internet you're providing for low income families is ridiculously garbage internet. It's not enough to run a Google Meet and do this work. I don't know what your experience with that, Fonz, is or Sharo, but that I'm in the same boat, and I know a lot of other people are too.
Well, on my end, we have Spectrum. We also have AT&T, but with the Spectrum experience, it's just been long lines, virtual lines. It took, especially during the early parts of last year. It took 2 months, 3 months and parents are crying. Kids are crying because they can't log into their classes. So some of them have decided to walk to the school and just be on the side, find a spot or be in the cars so that they can get the internet access from the campus. The good thing is they do have district issued devices. But we scrambled too, Chris and Fonz, in the latter part of last year to distribute to elementary, because when COVID happened, our elementary population had really old iPads, old tablets, and it was a pain. And my team, who has helped to support the technology, they can only offer so much tips and tricks for it to make it last long and work. To the point where we asked the district, we need to find funds to replace them with new ones, because they're not working anymore.
And then I'm sure your district ran into, like so many others, whether it's the spring through the summer and in the fall here, you got school districts that need 10,000 devices yesterday.
Oh, yes.
And,
yes.
And now they're all trying to get the iPads or, the Chromebook, and demand certainly outweighed supply and probably still does.
Oh, yes. Some of our partners in ed, they told us, you're not the only ones ordering. We have to wait for shipment because it's coming from outside of the country. So the boat or the ship is still in the ocean, and they're trying to get here as fast as they could so we can provide you with the devices, because the inventory in the United States went down, very quickly. So they have to start getting it from somewhere else.
And real quick, Ryan in the chat checking in. He is mostly in person, but having virtual kids in rural areas can be rough. So, I'm in an urban area where, we're thinking, not big city, but a urban city environment should have access to high speed stuff, and not the case. And now we're talking about rural areas where what type of internet access do they have, if they have it, in certain parts of this country? The magnifying glass on every problem in education is like a magnifying glass on top of a magnifying glass. Like, we're just exposing all the holes in the Swiss cheese at this point.
Oh, yeah. I remember seeing a documentary, back in 2016, 2017, something along the digital divide, and it was done by Verizon, and they did a really good job at showing all the issues that are already happening before this happened. And now, like you said, the magnifying glass is there, and it's just really putting us or showing, where we're at. And just for internet access, I mean, should be like a basic need right now for our students. I mean, they need to connect, and running into those issues with hotspots and bandwidth. And then, of course, you've got homes with multiple users where you've got 3 kids on a hotspot, and I mean, you're dropping in and out, and or giving them another hotspot because it's brother, sister, or sisters, and you've got all different grade levels. And so, yeah, a lot of variables, a lot of factors there for sure.
I definitely agree with you on that, Fonz, because yes, there are families, and I'm gonna say this: Mexican families, there are multiple families in one home, and that's
Mhm.
very common here in El Paso. And so, it's not only big brother or big sister using it. For sure, they have siblings and sometimes the cousins. They're all living in one house, so they have to share, and it's not the best one because we're provided with the smallest capacity, right, for internet bandwidth. So by the time they log into a learning management system and start, operating the video conferencing tools, it's hard for them, and they can't connect. So the kids get frustrated and they just start giving up and are like, oh no, I'm not going to do this.
It's that. So it's the speed of the connection once they can get connected, but then it's also, if we really take a look at the devices that school districts provide, these aren't the top of the line Chromebooks, or, I mean, I guess if you get an iPad, I mean, an iPad's an iPad, like that. That's why you pay Apple prices. But, depending on your Chromebook, there is a difference at this point between the $200 Chromebook and the $1,100 Chromebook, so we can get them connected, but are the devices these districts had before this all happened, were they capable of running Google Meet and having all these tabs open and, doing all this processing and computing, where, do these Chromebooks get to the point where you could crack an egg on the keyboard and fry an egg because the thing's going to heat up, right? so many factors.
Yeah, and I mean, and also, I mean, just even the platforms that we've been using, it's they've had to change their model because I mean, some of the platforms weren't meant to carry this big load. So sometimes, it was difficult. I mean, and sometimes it felt like they're building the plane while flying, but just trying to get things to work. So I mean, so many variables going against the connection, going against the students, the home factor, like you said, Sharo. I'm in a similar demographic area right along the border where you've got the multifamilies, and then of course you've got the frustration because the parents don't speak the language and they're frustrated because they don't understand what their child is supposed to do, where they're supposed to be, and then they can't keep track, and then they get the phone calls that, su hijo no ha entregado la tarea, su hijo no está haciendo su trabajo, su hijo no se está conectando. Well, they don't know. They don't have the digital literacy skills, and that's something that is very important. And I've always believed that, school districts, we really, really need to do a better job at including parents as part of our learning community, because they are part of our learning community, and provide these courses, provide classes, some way or another, reaching out to them to help them with the minimum to just be able to see, at least visually, and see what's going on, to have an understanding. Because we also have to take into account there are parents that are illiterate. They can't read, and we're sending them, here are the instructions. They're not going to know how to read it, but if you put some nice pictures, at least they can at least see and kind of start making some connections, sending them a video. So not only are we teaching our students, but we also need to teach our parents. And that has been something else that we've had to add into the equation everywhere, so it's been very interesting times for sure.
I don't know if your districts are running, but I know in my district, we're running like Parent University. That's what they're calling it, where it's like, these are special screencasts and tutorials in English and Spanish. I have a high like 99% Hispanic population where I am. So again, that's why I say, like, I'm in a very similar position as you guys with terms of who I serve, but we're also serving the same types of parents in our community where we're teaching the parents just as much as we're teaching the kids. So it's almost like we're differentiating instruction,
Yes.
but now we've got to include the parents and the families, and we got to teach everybody. And that shouldn't come as a surprise because schools serve the community, right? So we're just pile on teachers. We are very strong in school districts. We can bear this load, I think.
I can't say enough, and I can absolutely relate, to what both of you are saying. And I want to highlight the point about the parents. So, we've always said in elementary, we see a lot of parents, right? Because their kids are so young, they want to be involved in their education. And then middle school, they start to dwindle away because I was a middle school teacher. So I'm happy when I get to see some of the parents, but mostly I can see them weaning off from 6th to 8th grade. And then high school, they just disappear. So I think, yes, I absolutely agree. I love the idea of the parent university. And I think that's one thing that for my district that we need to refine. And at first, my team was asked to support the technical help desk, but we were named as academic help desk because there was a chunk of questions coming from parents on how to navigate the device. There's also a chunk of questions parents are asking, how do I even log into the learning management system? What is Zoom? How do I even turn that on? So, it's really interesting, the quickness and the urgency to address these different things. And yes, we have parent liaisons, but it didn't come actively, and how I wish they did now at hindsight, right? Like, man, they should have been part of the academic help desk to help us, the social emotional learning part. You think about these things after you've gone through the experience. But I think these are some of the pieces that we can refine and put together so that then the support will come full circle.
Wait time is challenging, right? Sometimes you just got to let it breathe a little bit, right?
Yes.
Let's see. Just want to check in on the chat. Pramod says, Chrome browser is becoming bulkier every year. Takes a lot of RAM. Newsflash.
Interesting.
Chrome browser it's bulky every day. I mean, I'm on a Windows machine, pretty powerful, and Chrome sucks up a lot of RAM and computer resources, right? Again, as I understand it, every tab you open is like opening an instance of Chrome. So for all you tab hoarders out there who have 30, 40 tabs
Oh my
open,
God, yes.
that's what's slowing your computer down. Yeah, you could use one tab, but I mean, you should really have no more than, 2-3 tabs open at a time. But, for teachers, you're running a Google Meet, you're running a Zoom, you're running Google Docs. Again, we got tabs up the wazoo. The grade book's open, the attendance is open, the email is open. And then what are we asking our kids to do? Right? So none of this is easy. We all long for normal, quotes, normal. It'll get better. It'll get better. It has to, right? I mean, I don't want to go fully backwards, but I'm tired.
I think virtual learning is here to stay now that everybody had a taste of it. I think you have students and teachers who really thrived in it.
Yeah.
It's not for everybody. Don't get me wrong. It's not for everybody. So you will have some who will continue to ask for it, and you will have some who just want to go back to the classroom and, teach in the building.
And again, a statement like that, a lot of people probably think that. I'm in that camp too, right? I would love to see, and I think we will see high schools and at all different levels, we're going to see hybrid options, I think. And if we don't, we have failed immensely
Mhm.
our learning population because, again, and Fonju you and I were talking about this to some extent before we came on tonight about how that's the way we've always done it. We were talking about that phrase and that mentality and how that could be pretty crippling and is crippling in any industry. That's the way we've always done it, is the worst philosophy or mission statement you could have. And if there are still schools and districts that are just chomping at the bit to go back to whatever learning was in 2019 and earlier, you're failing your kids. And not with F's, like you are doing them a disservice. It's a disservice to the community, and it's a disservice to everything you say you stand for as a school or a district if you want to go backwards. Now is the time to make changes. Now is the time to innovate, whether it's through hardware and software, but it's a shift in thinking that we're at that crossroads. We're at, again, so many things are happening historically right now where, again, I'll put my history teacher hat on for a second. You know, when I'm teaching history, 30 years from now, because Lord knows I'll still be teaching history 30 years from now, we're going to look back at 2019, 2020, 21. And I'd like to be able to look back and say, that's where it changed. Whether we're talking about how education worked, whether we're talking about social justice, everything. I think and I hope that we look back at this time, and this is like, I want to say I lived through when the change happened, where that the switches were flipped on, and almost like the Enlightenment. Again, I'll keep that history teacher hat on, where there's almost overnight this shift and this change and this opening of the minds where people start to think and act differently and approach all these different things differently. And now I'll step off the soapbox.
Hey, well, I'm going to share my experience. One year I did teach in Arizona, and it was an accelerated learning center. It was pretty much an elementary. It was K through 12, but the way that this school started was pretty much, it was the accelerated learning center where just the students that just couldn't handle or do high school, or where I guess you'd call them deem them the troublemakers. This is where they would go and they would get their credits, and everything was done online. It was a platform. Well, they had a lot of success with the students going through there. I mean, like success, not just like, hey, I'm just going to go through this and go through the motion, but the students were pretty successful that it turned into a K through 12 campus. And so I started working there. It was something very novel to me because we were only working Monday through Thursday, and we finished the whole year, everything like a school here in Texas. And what I liked about it though is, like, I mean, you had that Monday as a holiday. So then you would just work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 3-day work week, and then you're off again. So that was cool. But to get to the point there, I saw students graduating from this school at the age of 16 and enrolling into UNLV and just continuing their education there, because all they would do is they'd go to school just half a day just to go and just sit there in a lab, and they learned everything online. They would still do their state testing, and they were successful. They were getting scholarships. They were getting, to New Mexico State universities and any of the universities that are there. UNLV was close by. And because that's the way they learned. I mean, they didn't want to go sit there like the whole day. They just said, you know what, I'm just going to come here. And if I have questions, they had people there that would tutor those specific areas. So they may have a question or two because they didn't understand something in the module, and they just ask and say, okay, cool, I got it. They continue on, and there you go, graduating at 16 years of age. So we're talking about that blend sort of, where you had the students that would go there normal full day, 8 to 4, K through 12. But then you also had that subset of, hey, I just want to go ahead and do my credits. And that started once they were at, I think in 9th grade, they would just go and they would just sit in the computer lab, and they can go in, I think it was mandatory that they did go for like half a day only. But if they wanted to stay later, they can, they finish faster, but they just had to go for half a day and just complete their assignments. I was blown away because I'd never seen a model like that before. And when I heard and I see the pictures still of the students that are, getting accepted to university, I'm like, wow, this is amazing. So I don't know. That's right now when Chris said, we need to make sure, and Sharo too, you said there are students that are thriving right now in this environment. Not everybody is a person that can sit there for 8 hours, at school. They just, hey, just give me the assignment. I get it. Boom, I'm done. Here's my assignment. That's it.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And then we also, I think I've also heard some experiences in my district where kids who were not showing up in school pre-COVID suddenly started doing work online. Isn't that interesting? They started participating, maybe actively participate in the sense that they'll, be part of the discussions, but they were like what you said, Fonz. They were submitting their work. They were putting it in, and they were getting credit. So we have those learners. And why is it that we're not also supporting that kind of learning? What I would like to ask both of you, or even to our audience, your familiarity with flexible scheduling, in high school. So I'm thinking about that. How can that be successful among high school age students? And we know that some of our students, especially maybe at junior and senior, they work and then they go to school at the same time. I don't know about freshmen and sophomores if they're doing that also, but I know for sure juniors and high school students do. So anybody who knows about flexible scheduling and how does that impact high school students?
I'll open my mouth. I'll put some thoughts out there. I, without having done any research, can only imagine that it has to have benefits that outweigh whatever negatives people can come up with. And I think the negatives would be people being uncomfortable with, wait, how can kids learn if they're not in the school? All right, well, we're going to eliminate that as an excuse because we're watching that happen right now where kids don't have to be in the school at this age. Because I'm sure previous arguments would be that we could do that in college. You could take an online class. If we go back to the late 90s, that's what the University of Phoenix is. You can go to school online, right? But now I think too many places in this country have now demonstrated high school kids, and we'll keep it to high school, and maybe we go to middle school. The kids are capable of doing the work, right? They are capable of learning. All right. The kids who that could work for, why not give them the option? We talk about choice in school. This is a good kind of choice, right? If your school changed its schedule, let's say, and I'm sure a lot of schools had to change how their classes operate. For example, my school went from an A-B schedule, block schedule, to a 4x4, where instead of a course taking a full school year, we have the semesters, right? So the other day I just got all new kids, all new ninth graders for ninth grade world history. Well, if we really set up a good 4x4 schedule, in theory, the kids who are successful and achieve at a high level, they could be done with high school in 2 years, maybe 2.5 years, right? Take the courses, do the work. That could work. I was actually happy to see, for students who weren't successful, my school is taking students who were not successful, meaning they failed, let's say, ninth grade world history in the first semester. They're now tweaking their schedule for the spring and putting them right back in the class in our repeater sections, which run for a marking period because we're using a program to kind of work them through some modules. And we're going to have kids who don't have to worry about going to summer school or whatever our schedule looks like next year, having to take the class and wait till next school year. We can get them. They words are hard. It's Friday night. I will have some students who failed in the first half of the year will get their credits back before this academic year is over. And that's a good thing because that's going to improve graduation rate. That'll improve kids being able to successfully move through their 4-year or 4 levels of high school. Again, who knows if it's going to still be 4 years, but again, we're at a time where things could change. Why not try some stuff, right? Why not try?
Because it's never been done that way.
God,
that's the kicker.
It's never been done that way. This is it. They all have to show up. They all have to have, their seats filled for, money purposes, funding.
Here's what I think of that. That's what I think of that.
Yeah. But you're right. I mean, you have to adapt to the environment. You have to adapt to this new education landscape. It is forever changed, and
Yeah.
you really have to put some thought into this and really speak up, because then again, you're just like Chris said, you don't want to go back, but that's exactly what's going to happen. Think about it. I mean, you're out of your comfort zone, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, I'm back in my classroom. Hey, I've got my kids here
Yeah.
again. Hey, you know what? I can put the tech away and I can set it aside, and then something like this happens again. Oh well, let's just flip the switch and we've got all of this and we can start all over again. But we can't. We got to continue moving forward and planning for the future. And this is the future. Options, giving options, learning now that students don't learn in just one method, one way. And that's what
Wait,
we're seeing.
haven't they been telling us that for years? We know that. Okay? Again, classroom teachers, we know about learning styles, right? They
Yeah.
beat that into us in our teacher preparation programs, right? The different mode, the visual, the kinesthetic, all those words that I don't remember right now, but I know what it looks like, right? Again, the future isn't later. The future is right now. It's called the present, right? We're living in 2021.
But I was going to say, Chris, does that help you pass standardized tests? Like something like this would, like here, this will help you pass a standardized test, but moving around, being creative, amplifying student voice, and hitting all those modalities, that will not help you pass a standardized test, because it doesn't offer an A, B, C, D, as far as an answer.
I got your answer right here. Ready? The tests.
Yes.
The tests.
Yes. Yep.
The test can go to the tests.
No, I absolutely agree with you. And you know what, Fonz, you said something that really struck me, because that's what I'm afraid of. Already I can see it. I work at the district level and I see it. Like when we went back to the building, the adults who are supposed to be the leaders, right, are switching off that switch. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, we don't need to do this anymore. And I'm there. That's why they don't like me, because I keep on pushing it. And I said, no, think about the opportunities that we can offer to all kids, not just kids who can function in the classroom, but also kids who can thrive online, because they've shown that they can. And there are also other kids who may be a mix of both. So we cannot get rid of what we have invested. I mean, there's so many federal tax dollars that have been invested in devices and applications and all the different tools that you can think of. Imagine how the public will react if they say, oh yeah, we don't need that anymore. And they're not even a year old.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess you're right. I mean, it's just going to go back to that, and then okay, let's put the iPads away, let's put the Chromebooks away. We don't need them anymore, and let's go ahead and let's print out some of these, and let's go back to the way things were, because it's easy, it's comfortable, it's familiar, it's back in my setting, my natural state, and but you can't. I mean, this is it. Like we've seen what can be done, and it's a matter of adapting. Now, granted, I mean, we also need to do a really good job at preparing and continually, push our educators, not, teaching them ways how to actually improve and implement and grow in their practice with the tech, because this was kind of thrown at them also. Like it was thrown at us. We did the trainings, we did what we could to get them going, but now we need to go deeper and let them know how much deeper they can go. Because right now they've only probably scratched the surface on some of those tools, and then they see the next shiny thing and they want that, but they never actually just get a feel for it and see how deep they can go and to integrate it into the learning process. And I think that too is something that as district leaders, we need to do as well, to encourage teachers to continue feeling comfortable with the tech, to say, hey, you know what? I don't need to go back to that because this makes things easier. And some of the examples that I've seen are teachers that never wanted to touch tech are thriving in this, during this time. And some of them have even told me, hey, you know what? I thought I was going to retire. He goes, I'm here probably for another 4 to 5 years because of this tech and how I see how easy it makes my job to be able to do what I used to do that took me hours. Now I'm using these great tools that can help, that have helped me enhance my lessons to share with the students. And now they feel, it's almost like they felt rejuvenated and they're excited and they're just thriving during this time. And so we need to do the same and help everybody else out. And again, they all learn different. We need to also just help them out, meet their needs. And at the end, I know it has to be a positive result for the students, but I would not like to see us go backwards. I would not like that at all.
I agree
Come
with
with me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination.
Hopefully it becomes a reality. And again, AJ chirping up, must have finished his bike ride. Please don't say that. We can't go back. We have to go forward. It's up to the
Yes.
leaders to push that on the teachers, no matter how uncomfortable they may be. Thank you, AJ.
And AJ's a principal and he's saying that. So yeah.
Yep. Pramod says, yep, it's time for the leaders to work hard and help districts move forward and find a new equilibrium. Yes, yes, yes.
We have to get on, we have to get on. We have so much time and so little to do. Strike that. Reverse it.
I'm getting spoiled with all the sound effects, and that's really cool.
Well, that's how we roll here.
Yeah, baby.
Love it, love it.
I will say though, it's 10:47, and Fonz, I think we did want to play with some new technology. We did promise the people something fun. So
let me drop
why
that
don't
link
we-
in.
we're going to drop that link. I have it. And
you
before
got
I
it?
drop it, I've got it because I'll put it in the where people will be able to click on it. So why don't you talk about it, and I will get that link, and we'll preview what we're going to be doing next.
All right, guys. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to join the Nessie after party, and we know that it ain't no party if it ain't a Nessie party. So we're going to be joining Chris and myself and Sharo. Hopefully she'll be there too, and everybody else. Make sure you join us on Kumo Space. So what we're going to be doing is we're all going to hop on there, and we're all going to actually be in the same room having conversations. It's going to be interactive. So please make sure that you join us, because some of these great features that you see here might be very useful for you, depending on the setting that you're in education, or whether even if it's business or industry and so on. But it's just going to be a great meeting space where we'll actually see each other through our cams and not just avatars. And we'll be able to interact and speak and share our thoughts either through chat or through voice. So it's going to be really cool. So it's Kumo Space. So Mr. Nessie just dropped the link in. I'm in there already. So hopefully you guys will join us just so we can continue the chat or just talk about whatever else. It's going to be a safe space. It's not going to be recorded at all whatsoever. So you don't have to worry about what you say at all. It's a safe space.
And before we head out of here, Sharo, again, for people, maybe this is the first video they're watching, how can people connect with you and learn with you?
Well, always a pleasure to network with all other educators and just lovers of learning, right? So you can follow me on Twitter at Sharo Dickerson. And I also have my podcast. It's On the Road with Sharo, available in different platforms and mediums. And I also have my website, sharodickerson.com. So I hope that we continue to connect and also continue to learn from each other. So it's always a pleasure to be here with you guys. Thank you so much.
All right, we're going to see, you're going to come to the Kumo party, right?
Yes, I'm definitely, I'm your party girl. I'm going to be there.
There you go.
Nice. All right, Fonz, newest member of the Education Podcast Network. How can people connect with you and learn from you still?
All right, guys. So what you can do is you can go visit us at our website at www.myedtech.life. That is our pod page there. You can find all our episodes. And of course, you can find us on all different players as well. So go ahead and check us out there. Also follow us on Twitter at myedtechlife. And again, we'd love to have you just, connect with us, make our PLF grow, our professional learning family. And of course, you can also find us on our YouTube channel. Please subscribe to that. Set up the little reminders because we've got some great shows coming up this coming month.
I'm still Chris Nesi. You've been watching this live version of the House of EdTech podcast. If you're not subscribed to the very popular audio version, go on your device to chrisnesi.com/go and make the House of EdTech a part of your anytime, anywhere professional development. New episode coming in a couple of weeks. And for the House of EdTech, in a weird way, continue to enjoy TCEA. I know the conversation loosely went around TCEA, but again, it's happening all the rest of this month. And there's a lot of learning to be done and a lot of growth that we all are capable of. So get out there, learn, get out there and grow. And remember, using technology isn't difficult. Just give it a try. Wave goodbye, everybody.